think all of our parents are working through some serious network connectivity issues. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens, Jeff. You've probably heard it. It's been around all week. People have been talking about it. We got to call Aaron Eckhart and I think Hillary Swank because the Earth's core has stopped spinning and potentially is going to spin in the opposite direction.
Do we have to make some sort of deep impact here, or what's the name of the movie that they were in?
The Core?
The Core! You're telling me there's a problem with the core?
I'm telling you that perhaps somewhere in the desert, Aaron Eckhart is letting you know that he's built a craft of some kind to bore into the center of the Earth. Maybe Stanley Tucci is there and he's rolling his eyes at this idea. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Two scientists who published this in Nature
fell in love.
I mean, I'm not going to, you know what? I don't have time right now. The Earth's core stopped spinning. I don't have time to do this bit with you.
Wait, how is it possible the Earth's core stopped spinning? The Earth hasn't stopped spinning.
Buddy, what if I told you to shut your mouth because I'm going to let you know?
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's not very Aaron Eckhart of you.
This has been, I'm in a very Aaron Eckhart situation. I want to get into a jumpsuit and solve this problem. And I feel like everyone's getting in my way.
I feel like you're being more of a two-face to me right now, but that's okay.
Look, hero, we deserve need. I don't know. I don't think I like The Dark Knight as much as other people do. That's another conversation we can put a pin in. Look, these two scientists have said that the inner core of the Earth, which normally rotates faster than the rest of the planet, has slowed down and is potentially reversing. And let me tell you, Jeff, when they published this week, everyone went cuckoo bananas. People started reporting on this. People started going, what happens when it stops? What happens if it stops? Does this have anything to do with the magnetic fields of the Earth? Are we going to get a pole flip? We've all heard of pole flips.
Is this why everything's been so weird lately?
This is probably it.
Yeah.
I thought, listen, I checked and no planets were in retrograde right now. So it's got to be.
It's got to be that core thing.
It's got to be the core thing. I believe in science, so I checked for Mercury being in retrograde first.
Right. Because we are hard science here first.
Here's the thing.
How do these two scientists know this?
Jeff.
Did they journey to the center of the Earth?
Buddy, I fucking wish. I fucking wish we had one of those little crafts.
Yeah.
Was that a Rock situation, the journey to the center of the Earth?
I believe that remake was the Rock.
That was a Rock situation.
Yeah,
okay.
I did not see that one. I did, however, see the old 1970s television show a few times.
Of course.
With where what you find at the center of the Earth are dudes in monkey costumes.
Yep.
Turns out. Yeah. Also,
you gotta take a left at the Land of the Lost to get there. Because otherwise, it's lizards.
I might be conflating those.
It's entirely possible. Look, so the way we even know that the Earth has an inner metal core is through the study of earthquakes. An earthquake happens on one side of the Earth. We measure the seismic activity. We see how it gets to the other side of the Earth and what changes have happened to that seismic activity. And sometime around, I believe it was like in the 1960s, they went, hey, wait a minute. The way these seismic vibrations and sounds are going, it sounds like it's hitting something solid. And then as we started measuring more of these things, because we can't just go down to the center of the Earth. We're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of degrees. Like if we try to go down to the center of the Earth, buddy, let me tell you something. As much as I believe in Looney Tunes, they got it wrong this time. I hate to say it. You can't go through. So what we found is, due to changes in the vibrations and how they traveled and how quickly they traveled, we also found out this motherfucker's spinning. And that's how we measure the speed of the Earth's core. Now, the Earth's core
we can't measure it unless an earthquake happens? Is that correct?
Yeah, we measure seismic activities. It doesn't necessarily need to be an earthquake, but we have to measure seismic vibrations. You know, the Earth is constantly, tectonic plates are constantly rubbing around. Everything is moving. I mean, outside of the inner core, which is a ball of iron that's about 70% of the size of the moon, right outside of that, we've got the molten core, which is the cool one. That's the dope core. I mean, listen, an iron ball the size of the moon is pretty cool.
Pretty sick.
I mean, that's pretty sick. I will give it that.
Molten core. Yeah. Molten core feels like, you know, the upgrade that you purchase on the chocolate cake.
Yeah. That's the dope shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's not a regular night. We're either like on a fancy work trip.
Yeah. You get the 7-layer cake. Or you get that sick molten core shit.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So this has got the molten core before it has the iron core. And the thing is, they're moving around independently of each other, right? Because the molten core is molten. So it's slipping and sliding around. It's all melty. And then you've got the inner core that's spinning, and it's spinning pretty consistently. Now, here's the thing. This is slowed. It is starting to reverse. These are numbers. They're basically incontrovertible. It's happening.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
But
I feel like I want to controvert it though.
You know that the big asterisk is coming, Jeff. And I'm gonna save the big asterisk for just a second while I sort of explain why we don't need to worry about a pole flip happening here.
Okay.
This is not connected. No matter what the very good Aaron Eckhart movie told you, this is not connected to any technology that we've created, any magnetic fields that we've created that might be throwing off other magnetic fields. It has nothing to do.
Do we consult with Elon? Because maybe he's got something going on. He's been boring stuff. Maybe
Jesus.
Did he bore into the center of the earth and
boring me for fucking 15 years now, this guy. No, surprisingly, the scientific community does not consult with Elon very much.
You're right.
It's a big surprise. Right. It's because of the fraud. It's because of the fraud and the stupidity. So no, like a core flip is something, or a pole flip is something that we've heard about, where like the magnetic fields of the Earth simply just reverse, and all of a sudden, north is south, south is north,
down, left is right.
It's crazy. Like
dogs and cats living together.
Our satellites will fall. All of our instruments will go in reverse, but also the magnetic fields that protect us from cosmic radiation will get weaker and weaker, and that's the end of it. It's all over, and goodbye, everybody.
Sounds bad. That's why we need to call in Aaron Eckhart to stop that from happening.
Right. That's an Eckhart situation, you know. Yeah. But no, the Earth's core. I mean, the Earth's magnetic poles, based on stuff that we've seen, flip every 200,000 years or so, and we're very overdue. We're at about 700,000 years right now. So everybody's worried about this pole flip. The pole flip's happening any moment, right? Except here's the thing. We've been watching a slow weakening of our magnetic field for years now. And based on the data that we found, it's probably been slowing for thousands of years. We probably have a very long time until it happens. And most of the time, the magnetic field will weaken. It won't weaken to the point where the poles flip. It'll just kind of jumpstart itself. It's happened many, many times. And the idea here has been like the next flip is close because of something called the South Atlantic Anomaly. The South Atlantic, yeah, you know the South Atlantic Anomaly. We all do.
Of course.
Sure. This is a kind of a mysterious area in the Earth where all of a sudden the magnetic field is weak over the South Atlantic Ocean, right? So if you were to look at like a magnetic field map of the Earth, the poles would be like red, right? Because there's like a lot of magnetism going on there. And then you'd expect it to slowly kind of get greener or orange and then like red again at the poles. And for some reason over the South Atlantic anomaly, it gets kind of blue. It gets kind of like very weak. But the idea here is like, we've mapped these changes over the last 9,000 years. I don't know who was doing it 9,000 years ago, since the Earth was only created 6,000 years ago. This is my new bit, and it's going to get funnier and funnier every week.
Solid.
The new bit is I'm a creationist, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
That's a fun bit.
It is. It's hilarious on the science show.
But we've looked at kind of readings over the last 9,000 years. And the idea is like, hey, man, ain't nothing in nature perfect. There are variations. Things get weaker. They get stronger. This is probably going to get stronger again. We don't need to worry about a pole flip. And the pole flip is not related to the spinning of the core. It's one thing that affects the Earth's magnetic field.
Separate problems I need to worry about.
Yeah, these are multiple problems, but I just told you one's solving itself practically.
Sure, yeah, you said that, but you also said that every 200,000 years the pole's flip, and we haven't had one in 700,000 years?
Yeah.
That feels real bad. That feels
right?
like any day now type of a situation.
Well,
that's the slot machine you sit down at because it hasn't hit in like 2 days.
No, it's this one's hot. I can tell this one's about to get hot. Just like the Earth's molten core. Yeah. No, I mean, look, we're saying every 200,000 years. That's the data that we've found. But also, like, Jeff, we get shit wrong. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? And 700,000 years, like, I don't know. Maybe it stopped happening every 200,000 years for some sort of reason that we don't know. Some sort of natural phenomenon that happened. But we're good. They're looking at the
it's probably fine hypothesis.
Well, yeah. I mean, and also it's probably fine is the way I think about things that I don't understand. But also, we've been watching it for like 3,000 years. And like, even if it continues to decay, we've got thousands more years before a pole flip happens.
All right, fine. Okay. I'm going to stop worrying about the pole flip.
Don't worry about the pole flip.
It feels really bad. It feels really bad.
No, I mean, listen, you don't want to be there that day.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a day you don't want to be around if you can avoid it.
Yeah. You don't want to see the pole flip.
No.
Although some sick TikTok pole flip challenges probably happening.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Are you kidding?
The pole flip challenge, you know?
Starts with fun compass tricks. moves up to how long can you go outside before your skin boils off.
You right before the pole flip, you leap into the air and you see what happens. Yeah. You know, you fly around to the other side of the earth. I don't know, maybe.
Hey, has the internet stopped trying to organize a thing where everybody on one side of the earth jumps at the same time? Do you remember that was a big thing with the early internet? Where it was like,
they thought, hey, we could actually pull this off and see what happens.
Yeah, we could all talk to each other now. So why don't we try to do a thing where we all jump up and down?
Oh, I know what we could do. We could try to knock the Earth off its orbit. That's smart. That's a smart use of art. Well, how dumb are we? We finally got a way to communicate to every human being all at once. And that's the thing. Let's just try to all kick the Earth and fuck it up. You know,
it's like a bunch of teenagers looking at something on the street and going, that's pretty cool. Let's burn it.
Exactly.
I don't know. What do you think it looks like on fire?
Oh, my God. That's the most intricate, beautiful, unlikely set of things to see. Let's destroy it as fast as we can.
Yeah, I bet I could punch it. I bet I could punch it real hard. But getting back to the core spin. Here's the thing about the core spin, Jeff. When we say that it has the inner core has stopped spinning, if you dig a little deeper down into the story, and by deeper, I mean literally,
that's the deepest you can go, is my understanding.
Yeah, you can't go much deeper.
In the core, that's as deep as it gets.
If you go, and when I say deeper, I mean 2 sentences into the abstract of this paper. I mean, literally right there in the abstract.
Farther than every local news organization that reported on this has gotten, is what you're saying.
Yeah. If you get 2 or 3 sentences down, what you find is it has stopped spinning relative to the rotation of the Earth's crust. The crust is, of course, the crunchy outer shell that we live on.
Mm-hmm, the delicious part.
Mm-hmm.
It was stuffed with mozzarella, if you're lucky.
Yeah, it looks like it. Based on the color of the crust, you would think all the planets have different flavors, but they all actually taste the same, and it's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
So the Earth tastes blue because you see blue.
Right.
You know.
You're convinced. They're all the same flavor.
They're all the same flavor. It's a Skittles situation. Yeah. They all taste like dirt and rock. If you don't believe me, go outside and lick it.
Yeah.
Close your eyes and lick it and see if you taste blue. I bet you don't. So here's the deal. Obviously, the Earth is always rotating. It rotates once a day about. Right?
Yeah, that's why they call it a day.
Yeah, that's why they call it a day. It's short for rotation.
Right.
Yeah.
Rotation.
Look it up. Rotation. We've won awards. So
we have. Not for accuracy.
No, they did try to take the award away. Now, here's the thing. That means the inner core is still spinning, just not as fast as it used to in comparison to the crust.
Right. So it feels like we've synced up. We've synced up with the core.
Yeah, a bit.
So everything is rotating.
Yep.
It used to be that the core was rotating faster than all the stuff around it.
Just a little bit faster.
And now it has slowed and is rotating in concert with the rest of the Earth.
Right. Or actually like a little slower, which makes it reverse.
Well, it still feels like a huge deal.
It does, unless you go 4 sentences in.
Wow.
In
You've
which
really
case,
done a lot of research on this one, Anthony.
Buddy, this is more than I've ever read for an episode of this show. 4 sentences in where it says this happens every 70 years or so.
Huh.
This thing just speeds up and slows down. When people are asking why, one of the reasons is probably because you've got this solid iron core, right?
Yeah.
It's spinning around due to both sort of the momentum, the angular momentum of the Earth, which is spinning around, which is in orbit and all this stuff, but also because of the intense heat of the molten core. There's a transference of energy that's going back and forth, right? It's like, think about the iron core as the heat sink.
Right.
You know what I mean? You've got this big ball of iron at the center of this molten thing. And sometimes the molten stuff cools down enough to become part of the core. Sometimes it heats back up. It's spinning at different rates. It's going back and forth. And about every 35 years, we wind up with the inner core spinning at the same rate as the crust. And then it'll slow down a little bit. And then things will kick it back up again. So this is actually a very normal thing that happens. And what happened was we didn't know that. And when I say we mean laymen.
Right.
And so when this paper got published, which was like, hey, we're seeing this and we're sort of confirming this 70-year cycle that we think of, because some people said this was a 30-year cycle. Some people said this was a 200-year cycle. Some people said maybe it's not happening. And they're like, well, we've got data that says like, that pretty much confirms the 70-year hypothesis. So if you know much about the Earth at all, which most of us don't, you're pretty much already aware of this. You know, your geologists, your astrophysicists, the people who think about the Earth and think about what it's made of and what it's doing in the context of space all the time, already knew this.
So this is a story about lack of science education. Is what this story is about.
Because I'll tell you what, I looked and almost every single outlet has reported on this story exactly the way the first outlet reported on the story. It's been on TV news. It's been on CNN. Vice reported this thing. It's been everywhere. And everyone's like, it's slowing down and it's reversing. And, you know, some of them get to, hey, this happens every 70 years. Some of them don't get to that. Some of them interview experts who like clearly get to that, but don't use those quotes. You know what I mean? Like they pull those quotes. They're like, yeah, no, they're like, because these journalists clearly like call up these researchers or email these researchers and go, is this true? Can it be confirmed? And they're like, yeah, It's true. The science is sound. Like, yeah, they did their research and this is probably the way it is. And they go, good. That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
So this is just something that happens, man.
And I find that fascinating because it's something I did not know.
Right. I think it's cool in and of itself.
You have this like this interaction that's happening at the very center of our planet, you know, that is causing this thing to, you know, it's
until the key change, and then it's you know,
yeah, exactly. And then you wait for the bass to drop. It's like, and then you got problems. Then you need Aaron Eckhart. Hopefully the bass doesn't drop for another 100,000 years. But,
no, I mean that's the thing is like I think I understand what you're getting at, which is I knew that the core spins. I learned that. I learned that in school, and I learned that there are different levels of the core that maybe spin in different directions. But in my mind, it just spun at a constant rate forever. And here's the thing: we know that that's impossible.
Right.
We know that there's no physical way for something in the universe to just perpetually stay at the same momentum. We know that doesn't exist, but we never really think about it.
Well, it's the same reason I think we've talked on the show before about how we have to subtly change the measurement of a day or a year to make up for the perceptible but imperceptible in the small measurement, but perceptible over large stretches of time changes in how fast the Earth is rotating, how fast the orbit around the sun is happening. All those things are not constant. And so, you know, every few years it's like, well, we're like a second off.
Yeah. We need to listen. It's time to remeasure the kilogram because gravity is ever so slightly different. And also we made this kilogram out of brass, and over time it's just kind of losing atoms of mass.
Right.
And so and it's nothing. And here's the thing. It's nothing we need to worry about on a day-to-day basis. It should be reported the way that you're talking about it, which is this is a cool fact about things instead of but I mean, this is a cool fact about things doesn't get you that good Aaron Eckhart. You know what I mean? That Aaron Eckhart reaction. Yeah.
Nobody's frantically clicking on the story if they don't think that the world is going to go topsy-turvy tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. I gotcha.
But
I do want to send someone to the center of the Earth.
Look,
if nothing else than to see the people dressed up like monkeys.
Buddy, all I want is for us to drill down into the center of the fucking Earth.
Oh, come on. Let's do that. Wasn't there a movie also recently? I don't know what it's called, but there was a movie about they build the elevator that people have theorized about, where you get in one and you start heading toward the center of the Earth, and then gravity gets you and it pulls you to the other side.
Oh, did
Isn't there
they?
a movie about that?
Maybe. I don't know. I know Moonfall came out. You know Moonfall?
That did come out. Oh, there was, I think isn't the moon
an egg or something? What happens in Moonfall? Did you have to see Moonfall?
It's all there in the title, Anthony.
It's just going to fall?
Falls. Yeah, it falls onto the Earth.
But it's not an egg. I thought it was like a Doctor Who situation where like it's also an egg, and if the moon falls, it's also going to be like a big kaiju or something.
No, that would be the cool version of the movie.
That's a good movie.
I didn't see Moonfall, but I understand that it delivers on the premise, i.e. moon falls.
Yeah, that's all I need to hear.
Bad stuff that happens. I don't think it's an Eckhart. I think it's a
It's not an Eckhart
in the Moonfall.
No. We don't.
There's a guy.
We don't Eckhart that stuff anymore. Yeah, somebody saves the day. I remember
the moon back.
Look, good. Somebody needed to. Yeah, man. I just want us to see the center of the Earth. I want a picture. You know? I want a photo of the Earth's molten core.
That would be amazing.
And I know there's so many layers of current improbability and impossibility to that.
Do we know why? Do we know why the Earth has a molten core? Is it the friction of that movement that's keeping it hot?
Showing off?
Or is,
Showing off.
Showing off. Yeah. just like the chef and his molten core chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Showing off.
It kind of like, so we know that it probably has to do with the motion and the way that the Earth was actually created, the forces that created the actual, giant fucking thing that we're floating on. Yeah. Because we do know that the outer core crystallizes on the surface of the inner core. and it constantly changes the density of the outer liquid, and that keeps the motion going, and it keeps this sort of like heated furnace reaction. Now, the thing about this heated furnace reaction is that it's not forever either. Over millions of years, it's going to cool down, and it has been. But once again, that's nothing I would write a headline about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because not every planet has a molten core, right? They say that Mercury is the opposite. It's the inverse of that, where it's molten on the outside, and you got the gooey nougat is on the outside.
It's more vulnerable.
Crispity, crunchy shell is in the center.
Right. And the problem with that is it's
sticks to your teeth.
Yeah, it makes for some messy snacking. And it all just tastes like dirt anyway.
I want it to melt in my mouth and not in my hand. I
want to not melt when I go to the center of the earth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I want. I wish there was a way to stop this sort of reporting from happening, or at least spreading this way.
I mean, that's really the issue here, is that this thing sort of gets a life of its own, and people stop reporting on the story and start reporting. They stop reporting on the science and start reporting on the story, right?
Right.
They're reporting on the effect of bad knowledge spreading quicker than good knowledge.
Yeah. And I went on and I looked at like Reddit, and I looked at some other places, and there are a lot of people posting now because of this. What happens? Like, there are multiple posts across multiple subreddits that are all like, what's going to happen when this stops? Or what happens if and when it stops? And they're right. And like, blah, blah, blah. And it's a lot of people theorizing stuff. And then down in the comments, there'll be one person who's just like, hey, none of this is happening. Because the other thing is, like, when somebody asks a question like that on Reddit, a theoretical like that, right? What happens if the Earth's core really does flip directions on us?
Yeah.
What if it does stop rotating entirely and flips directions on us? That's a fun question to answer in the theoretical, I think, is the other deal, right? The idea that, like, oh, yeah, then the magnetic fields are going to be off and gravity's going to change, and like we're not going to be able to do anything. Maybe the Earth, maybe because of the stoppage of the core, the Earth cools too much and we don't even, it's too cold to even live on anymore or grow crops, or like, people are talking about all these wild things because somebody asked this question that was phrased in a way that allows you to, you know what I mean? It wasn't, hey, I've been reading these stories. What happens when this stops? And nobody goes, well, first of all, you need to know that the stories don't say that. What everybody says is, oh shit, baby, this is some fun stuff. Let's write a sci-fi novel right here, right now.
Yeah, it's true. I'm looking at CNN's coverage of this, which is under the headline, Earth's inner core may have stopped turning and could go into reverse, study suggests.
Sure. And nobody says relative to anything in that headline,
No, it does not. It says there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 paragraphs.
Yep.
Before we get to, quote, nothing cataclysmic is happening. He added.
Nothing cataclysmic is happening. He added, screaming after me as I ran out of the building to not hear it. Like, okay, thank you, doctor. No, wait, come back.
Yeah.
Come back. No, nothing cataclysmic is happening. What's that? Cataclysm's happening? I don't know. I'll have to verify that with you later. Bye.
It's so wild. It's literally the second to last paragraph that means the inner core is now more in sync with the rest of the planet than a decade ago when it was spinning a little faster. They believe this is part of a 7-decade cycle, and that the turning point prior to the one they detected in this data occurred in the early 70s.
Yup. Yup. That's 10 paragraphs in. You look up any article from this week about this, and that's what it is. It goes into, this is the structure of the article. And honestly, it's brilliant. And here's what I'll say. Journalists who have had to make careers for themselves in the clickbait era that we live in now are masterful, really, because it will be one paragraph that confirms the headline. The second paragraph will be like, the study was published in Nature by these two scientists in China that did this. Then in 3 and 4, they're going to tell you what the Earth's core is made of and how it works. Then in 5, they're going to, you know what I mean? Like, I've read this article 100 times and it's all like, you don't get to, this is just in relation to the crust.
Yeah.
It has not stopped spinning entirely.
Yeah. Because that's happened in the 70s and we're all fine. Nothing changed.
That's like the very last thing they'll say. And it's kind of, I mean, there's stuff that's very interesting about this, right? Like, we believe the last time this happened was in the 70s, or we know the last time this happened was in the 70s. And that's because this technology was new. What this should be is like, this should be like the same thing as like telling kids that if you go outside today, you can see an eclipse, or there's a star that's visible that isn't usually visible. That's the kind of news this is.
Every 70 years, Halley's Comet, you can see it.
You could see it. And then I was 7 years old and I looked up and I couldn't see the damn thing. And I was like, well, I guess I'll check again when I'm 80 or whatever. I didn't see it. Do you remember this happening? I remember it happening and I didn't see it.
I remember it happening and I don't think I saw it either, but you're like, you got to get lucky, right? You got to, it comes around every 70 years. And if it's a cloudy day that day, oops, bummer.
So this should be more like that. This should be more like, hey, this is the first time that we've had the technology to sort of be verifying this. You know what I mean? This is the first, we knew it. We kind of theorized it in the 70s. We kind of saw it and now we know about it. And this is something that's going to happen once a lifetime. You will be alive once while this happens. And it is, the Earth is like changing speeds and kicking back up. And you are in the middle of this like gear shift that happens every 70 years. That's cool.
It is cool. I also think it's very cool how we know this. I mean, you touched upon this at the beginning of the story is we have such limited ability to probe into the center of our planet. You know, it's like somebody taking a stethoscope and listening to your heart and trying to understand the shape, size, the activity of the heart. We know a little bit about listening to it, but we know about the heart because we opened up someone's chest and picked one up, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's wild to think basically all we're doing is sitting outside of this thing and listening and making some inferences about what happens, in a place we can't possibly see or witness firsthand.
Yeah. The problem solving of it is amazing.
That's an amazing scientific problem that we have, come up with some novel solutions for. I think that is a really cool angle to.
Well, then you also think about like doing that in the 60s when they first started doing it. And it's like, it wasn't like there's an earthquake happening. Get on, like, email the scientists on the other side of the earth and see if they can like check these vibrations. Like, this was something that if you imagine in the 60s, the amount of organization and communication it took to measure these things and get everybody on the same page and look at it, like, it's cool. Like, it's cool to think that we did it. Now it's like much easier to do. And it happened within, the last 60 years, 70 years.
Yeah. Super cool.
I do like even talking about like the pole flip, like how they check for pole flips is they basically take like a long cylindric sample of the earth, like almost like if you picture like filling like a straw, like if you took a metal pole, if you took a metal tube, like an empty metal tube.
Yeah.
And you shoved it down into any cross section of the earth and got as far as you could. And then you kind of pull it out and you look at the layers.
But you got to keep your finger on the top.
You got to keep your finger on the top and bottom. Yeah. They built these giant, and that's the other thing, the cooperation it took to build the giant fingers that hold, and they're in the big white cartoon gloves.
Yeah. And I imagine if you hold your finger on it just right, you can put it in your mouth and then pull it away and it'll just drop right in.
Yeah. Just hundreds of thousands of years of sediment. And layers. But the way they check is they look at these layers and they go, okay, when did magnetic minerals start falling and landing in other directions?
Wow. That's awesome.
Isn't that
That's
cool?
awesome. That's awesome.
They're
That's
like,
awesome.
which way did these Ferris kind of like, or magnetic things land? Which way are they naturally kind of just like settling down into the layers of the earth? And you can watch, you can look at the alignment change. And I'm just like, that's fucking cool.
That's really so cool.
It's tough to write a grabby paragraph about that, though.
That's true. It's true. Unless you start with the enormous hands that they built. I mean, you could have like scientists build absurdly large hands in order to study gravitational shifts in the Earth's crust.
Yeah. The scientists have coined the pixie stick theory of Earth.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Scientists say the Earth was just one big piece of sand art made in the 3rd grade for God's mom. And then it got knocked on the bus and like all the layers got like messed up and like the God came home like crying and God's mom was like, it's okay. It's still beautiful.
I feel like we really nailed this. I feel like we got the headline nailed. I think that's good.
Yeah.
I did a quick search and Halley's Comet is coming back in 2061. That's the next one.
I'm going to add it to my calendar.
86, 2061.
I love it.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned, everybody.
We'll cover it. We'll cover it on the show.
We'll be right here. We'll be right here. And do you know why we'll be right here? Because of your continuous support.
Thank you. Thank you. Because you are patrons. You support the show at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. And you will for another 40 years.
There you go. That was some tough. Listen, for an actor, that's tough math. Because it wasn't
wrong. I mean,
it wasn't an exact decade.
7 years, right?
Yeah, it's fine. But like you know, it's fine. Yeah. You nailed it. It's about 4 decades. Listen, everybody, patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. We've done a little reorganization of it. And right now, as you may know, for just $1, you get an access to our Discord, which is a great community where everybody can chat about episodes or science or whatever you want to talk about. And it's a really lovely place. For $3 a month, you get those cold opens to the show, those conversations that we're having when the show starts. You get to hear the whole conversation as bonus audio. For $5 a month, and this is the change, at $5 a month, you get video versions of the episodes when they come out.
Yeah, you get to see our smiling faces, and also we're going to be giving folks a little extra content here and there as well, right, Anthony?
That's right. We've got some bonus videos, some bonus science stories, some stuff that we haven't been able to cover that we think will be very interesting to you. We're going to start sharing those with you, and we're going to start doing some Q&As with y'all as well. So be on the lookout for those. And of course, at $10 a month, you get early episodes. You get to hear everything first and see everything first. Because the more money you give us, the more we like you.
The more we like you, the longer we get to do this. We're just trying to get to Halley's Comet. That's all we're trying to do. And you can make that happen. Support the show. Help us out. Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.